My journals are the key to my overall wellness, and today I'm going to tell you why. Hey guys, if you're new around here, I'm Krista. I am a teacher turned stay-at-home mom/entrepreneur, and I believe that journaling can unlock your unique creativity. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you should subscribe and stick around. Today, we're going to talk about 3 ways that journaling has improved everything in my life. It gives me so much clarity. It has improved my wellness, meaning my mental and physical health, and it gives me so much creative momentum. So let's go ahead and get to it. So there's a lot of different styles of journaling, and kind of 2 styles of journaling come to mind when I think of the way that journaling has given me clarity in my life. So first of all, it's just like the classic way to journal. So when you think of journaling, like sit down on your desk, write in your journal, put down the date, dear diary, today I did this, blah, 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 blah. That has given me so much clarity in my life. And actually, I've been journaling since, honestly, elementary school. Consistently, I started journaling in middle school, and this was the way I journaled. It was just like, you wrote the date, you wrote down kind of like, today I did this. I have like, it was the 4th of July in my journal. And this was like how I journaled through, honestly, till like my mid-20s, I want to say. It wasn't until I got married that I found another style of journaling that I really like called bullet journaling. But yeah, I was very consistent in like my early 20s on journaling every single day in my journal. I have a friend that DM'd me the other day and was like, oh yeah, I love your journaling account. You were bullet journaling back in college. I was like, no, I wasn't bullet journaling, but I was journaling so much that she like knew that like journaling has always been my thing. So I've always journaled, and this is the type of journaling I'm talking about where it like gives you clarity. Now, recently I have read this book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and in it talks about kind of, to me, I thought of it as like a new way of journaling. She calls it morning pages. And so I was so inspired that I made my own journal called a morning pages journal. And this is what morning pages are. And so if you are super new to journaling, this is how I would start getting into journaling. I would start with morning pages. The goal with morning pages is to do them in the morning. However, you can do them at any time of the day. I often do them in the morning, but I can do them in other times of the day. What she suggests that you do is you sit down in your journal and you write 3 pages a day. Which is honestly kind of a lot, even for me. I'm a journaler. So if you have a journal kind of this size, it's pretty easy to get 3 pages in. But yeah, I had actually stopped journaling like this for a while because I got so into bullet journaling, and I used that as my journal, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But this kind of like reintroduced me to like just this style of journaling where you just kind of like free write whatever you want. Literally, you can just be writing like, I'm sitting at my desk. This pen is my favorite pen ever. Yesterday I did this, right? So it's just start writing, and I really like that. It's just, the goal is to get you writing. So if you're new to journaling, start this out. Because what I've found is, as I write these pages, the goal for her is to get your inner artist or your creativity to come out. And another like thing that has come for me from doing these morning pages is that I have just found so much clarity in the direction that I want to take my life. And it's just made my inner voice be the loudest. We live in a world where there's lots of really loud voices that we can access pretty much 24/7. And so journaling is a way for me to just tap into my own self and figure out what I enjoy doing, what I want to be doing. So that's how journaling has given me clarity in that way. Another way that journaling has given me clarity is through organizing my mind. So when I talk about organizing, that's where like my bullet journal comes into play, which if you're unfamiliar with what bullet journaling is, it's a style of journaling created by writer Carol that I'm super inspired by. But lately I like to describe bullet journaling as a planner that you plan on keeping, making it a planner and journal in one. So really, I've almost just started calling my bullet journal my planner because I design planners for and with people. I designed my bullet journal in advance, which is basically just my planner. But my planner to me is a journal. In fact, I think a planner is the most effective journal if you are looking to do like that, today I did this type of thing, because you might as well just put it in the planner on the day of the year. It just organizes time really well for us, which actually time is a very hard concept for us to grasp. However, when you put it in a planner, it makes it a lot easier to understand time. So it organizes your mind, it organizes your time, and it organizes just like your tasks and to-dos. So I love journaling for that purpose, for organizing my mind, organizing my time. And the specific journal I'm talking about here is my planner. So you've got your journal just for like clarity, just for like inner voice, that's your morning pages. You've got your planner that also adds clarity by organizing your mind, organizing your time. So the next way that journaling can improve your life is basically just improving your overall wellness. So when I say wellness, I'm talking about your health, and specifically your mental and your physical health. So this again kind of goes back to those two journals where for me, my mental health improves greatly when I start to process big emotions and big feelings in my morning pages journal, or in just like that journal where you can just kind of vent and put your feelings out. What I really liked about this book, The Artist's Way, is that it reintroduced me to this just like free write style of journaling. But as I've progressed through the book, so it's actually a course on creativity and you're supposed to read a chapter a week, which I've started doing. It starts talking about how once you reach a certain point in your morning pages where you're writing 3 pages a day, you really do start to use it as a tool for processing your emotions, processing the things that are coming up in your life, and making art out of it if that's what you want to do. And so that helps a lot with your mental health. This week on social media, I posted a post about Survivor. There's a girl on this season of Survivor. Her name's Eva. She's 24 and she has autism. And right away, she decided not to tell everybody that she has autism, but she knew she needed to tell somebody because she has these episodes and needs help from someone to get out of these episodes. So on day 1, she met a fellow tribe mate. His name was Joe, and she decided this was who she would confide in and tell him that she had autism. So she did, and she told him how he would need to help her out of these episodes, which was what she explained as kind of grabbing her arms and her hands and squeezing her really tight, and that's what would help her get out of this episode. So later in the season, they're actually on separate tribes, and during a challenge, at the end of the challenge, Eva ends up winning the challenge. She goes into one of these episodes, and her new tribe is of course trying to like get her out of this episode, comfort her, and you can see Joe is like wanting to help her. So he goes over and helps her and squeezes her arms, squeezes her body really tight. He talks her out. He's like, come on out of it, come on out of it. He does this a couple times and eventually she calms down. So it was really, really emotional and cool to watch. Jeff Probst, the host, was crying. And I was really inspired by this and by Eva. Like, her emotional maturity really, really impressed me. And it made me reflect like what helps my mental health like that. And so I decided that like my mental health rock/stability really is journaling. So anyways, I ended up after that, I loved how like Eva communicated with someone like what helps her. So I was like, hey, I told my husband, this is what helps me is journaling. And I also like comparing the two. There was kind of a physical component to her coming out of this episode. And to me, journaling has that physical component of like, you have a journal, you're writing it down. So truly like even the act of journaling itself, not even necessarily what you're writing, but like bullet journaling. I love to use markers and color things and decorate my pages a little bit. And that is also just like a form of mental health, right? I'm creating something with my hands rather than, consuming something on my phone or on a TV. So I definitely think that journaling improves your mental health. However, I also think that there's a physical health side of journaling, and that comes into play with your planner, right? A couple of clients that I've made planners for, because that's what I do, is I make these planners or bullet journals for people, have asked me to incorporate meal planning into their bullet journal. So when I think of physical health, I think of like the physical health habits that are a form of input or a form of output. So when I talk about input, that's like what you're eating, right? So meal planner. and like trying to eat nutritious, healthy, delicious meals. So that can be tracked in a journal or planner through your meal planner. And then the other way that you can improve your physical health through journaling is incorporating habit tracking in your planner. Habit trackers in your planner can be tracked kind of in 3 different spots. You can put like a yearly tracker at the beginning of the year where you track like every single day if you're doing a habit that you want to do. There's monthly habit trackers that people create where you kind of draw out a mini version of your month, or you just like list out the numbers 1 through 30, 31, however many days of the week there are, and you can like cross off, check off, or color in when you do it. Or you can even incorporate it into your weekly planner by creating a little like tracker at the beginning of the week, or making a little box on each day of the week to track some sort of exercise plan that you have. I personally like to do it weekly. That's the layout / page that I'm in the most. And that way you can even tailor it. You could put it on like a little green dot on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because those are the days that you want to work out, and then check them off. The one thing that I will say about habit trackers that also James Clear in Atomic Habits suggests is that if you aren't in the habit of journaling, then it's another habit to track. Tracking the habit is a habit in itself, if that makes sense. So again, you want to start journaling to get to this point of habit tracking. So there's a couple different ways of journaling. You've got your morning pages journal, which helps with like clarity and mental health, making your inner voice the loudest. There is the planner side of journaling, which you could call it a bullet journal or a planner. I consider them both a journal, which can also improve the clarity that you feel in your life by organizing your time. And it can also help with your physical health by tracking and planning your meals and tracking and planning your movement, workouts, exercise. So the third way that journaling has improved my life, it has given me so much creative momentum. That creative momentum truly stems from the morning pages. Somehow, when you write about whatever is on your mind, it kind of just clears your mind. So again, clarity, clearing your mind to include some creativity in your life. And so I actually have a separate journal that I kind of use as like my creativity journal. It's where I ideate. It's where I plan out my YouTube videos, my podcasts, my planners that I create for people. This is just like it for me. So I've been working on a planner makeover for somebody, and truly I think that having 3 separate journals is what I would suggest to you. It's an organizational tool too to have 3 different journals. And so they don't have to be exactly like mine. You don't have to have a morning pages journal and a bullet journal or planner and a creative journal. In fact, when I was working full-time as a teacher, I had 3 journals, but it was like kind of a morning pages journal. I didn't call it morning pages at the time, but just like a reflection journal. I had my bullet journal, and then I had a journal for work. So I kind of like to think of that creative journal as the journal that you're using for work. I had a separate bullet journal that I would use to plan my lessons and organize my time for work. And so that's why I think like being an entrepreneur is really fun, because hopefully you're working on some sort of creative work, your art, right? Being an artist is really fun. So anybody who's an artist, entrepreneur, business owner, you're creating something. You gotta have somewhere to like sketch out those ideas that you're bringing to life. So that's what like that 3rd journal is for. So if you come to me and you want me to make a planner for you, I am going to help you with the bullet journal planner side of it. Like, we're going to work on that together, make it top notch, aligned to you. I can create you a blank journal too if you'd like it. I can create you a blank journal for your work and your creativity if you'd like it. In fact, I have made that for people before, and it is more structured. Mine is completely just a dot grid journal right now because I just like want to just let the ideas come and as they may. So those are the two I'd kind of focus on, but really start with any journal and just start getting your ideas out. I think that everything stems from that morning pages journal where you're just getting your thoughts out. Getting to the root of who you are actually is truly really important for me. I am very passionate about being honest with myself, honest to who I am, who I want to be, and that stems from my morning pages. And then it just kind of flows into all the other things, because if you're not clear on the direction you want to go, then everything you're putting in your planner, everything you're kind of designing in your creativity journal is not going to be aligned to what you really want to be doing. So start journaling. It will improve your life. It will improve your clarity, wellness, and overall give you so much creative momentum. If you are listening on my podcast, you're amazing. If you are listening on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe. I have some fun videos in the works, including a planner makeover that's coming soon. And thank you so much for listening. If you want to work with me or reach out to me, the best way you can do that is through my Instagram at create.with.kristakirky. It'll be linked in the description. Thanks for listening and happy journaling, everyone.